so you'd see a lot of people come in, they'd be dressed to the nines, and then they leave and go back to an evening service. Anyways, get on with that. I've taken 2 cups of the juice out of the crock pot, and I'm going to add to it, because this is what you're going to marinate the barbecue in once you have shredded it. You're going to take 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Uno y dos. Uno y dos. Put that in. Get a good spoon, stir it around. That way it blends in. You don't have this sugar lump sitting in the bottom of the bowl. And then you're going to take your spices. Now I'm cutting down on the spices. I'm not going to give my family a 4-alarm fire, because they probably would want more barbecue per capita than what this recipe calls for. So I'm going to cut this stuff in half. I'm going to take half a teaspoon, just half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. In it goes. And just half of a teaspoon, because it calls for like a whole teaspoon, half a teaspoon of the red pepper flakes. And then half, a little bit less than half, take any kind of pepper sauce. Frank's. There's all kinds out there. There's the Tabasco people. This is one my son got me from one of those awesome stores over in Destiny, USA in Syracuse. I'm just taking a teaspoon. Calls for like a whole 1.5 tablespoons. Alright? You're going to get flavor and taste in this if you don't want to blow yourselves away. If you want extra spicy, go for it. But if you're making it for your family and your kids don't like too much spice, cut stuff in half. So just a teaspoon of this pepper sauce. And there you go. Stir that all around. And there it is. And what's going to happen with that, that's going to go back into the pot with the pork once you've shredded it. Now I'm going to shred the pork. Man, that stuff came out tender and juicy out of that crock pot. Practically fell apart as I tried to fork it out. And that's how it's going to be, tender and juicy. That's the key to good barbecue, no matter how you do it. And there we go, all shredded with my 2 forks, ready to go back into the pot. That way it can season. Now in the pot, you're not going to keep it in there for another 12 hours, maybe a few hours till dinner time, just in the afternoon. So that way it can savor, get some spice into it, and be really, really, really good. This is kind of like our chicken barbecues up north. You know how they have them in fire departments and this cause or that cause around town. Down south, you'd have like a whole town have like an annual barbecue fest, or they call it things like pig picking, like we had in King Street. And it wouldn't be just one group or one department selling stuff. You'd have like a whole parking lot full of tents with one group or a church or a school or an organization, and everybody would have all their different barbecues, and everybody would go around and see which ones they liked. They'd try a little bit of this and that, and then they'd buy the whole plates and things. And it was at the whole town festival instead of this one every weekend, that one every weekend. It was just a huge outpouring, kind of like your taste stubs you have in your cities. Well, there she is, back in the pot. And I'm going to pour the spice mix over it. That'll savor for a couple hours. I'm going to put the cover on, turn my pot back on, and there she is. And that's the end of part 2. We'll be back later to serve it up.